Now in this part of the series I'm going to discuss common technique mistakes that I see in the box squat and how to correct them. The first big mistake I see with people doing the box squat, and the most common mistake I see, is people trying to keep their torso completely upright, and what happens is they try to sit back and they just end up falling on the box. When you think about it, your body weight is here and your strength is here. It doesn't make sense from a physics standpoint. Your body weight and your center of mass are way outside where your base of support and your strength are. You can see this sometimes in people who are afraid to hip hinge or afraid to bend in any form or another through their hips because they're afraid that they're going to hurt their back, or from people with poor body awareness. In these situations, I usually just coach people to hip hinge. You can use the broomstick on the back technique, but I like a cue that I learned from Stu McGill, where you make lobster claws with your hands, put them on your thighs, have a soft bend in the knees, keep your chest tall, and then you try to slide your hands down your thighs. And then you can do this, apply the same thing to the box squat. Usually for people like this, I break this down into two movements. First you do the hip hinge, and then you squat down. Second big mistake I see people make is the knee shooting forward. You'll see this with people who are very quadricep dominant, where they go to stand up from the box squat and they actually shoot forward and then stand up. One corrective you can use for this is to simply block their knees off so that way they can't bring their knees forward. Another cue, and this should be used with any mistake you see on any exercise, is to try to coach the right movement and try to make sure that they're aware of it, make sure they're aware of what you're looking for. I do believe proper coaching and cueing can fix at least 80% of issues without the need for correctives. In other situations, if they're still not getting it, they're still shifting forward, you might need to bring the box a bit higher, and you need to get stronger in the hip muscles. Another common mistake I see people make on the box squat, and I was guilty of this too when I first started doing these with way much more weight than I should have been doing, is having the knees cave in. This can again be due to quadricep dominance, can be due to too much weight, or just poor body awareness. So one cue that I like to do with clients is I'll put my hands on the outside of their knees and get them to push their knees into my hands as they stand up and as they go down. Also, the technique of corkscrewing the feet into the ground can also make a big difference. Another mistake that I see people make in the box squat is letting the front of their feet and their toes come off the ground. This can be caused quite often by people, again, not having great body awareness or just sitting too far back. If you watch videos from groups like Westside Barbell and other groups and other individuals who have popularized the box squat, they tend to prefer a vertical shin angle or even a negative shin angle where the knee is actually behind the foot. I'm not as nitpicky about that. I like to have it as close to vertical as possible, but I understand for myself, for people who are taller and have longer legs, you may not be able to get a completely vertical shin angle. It just doesn't always make sense. Sometimes people try to sit back too far and they actually end up losing their balance because their feet come off the ground. So a simple cue that I use for this, you can't see it that well, corkscrewing the feet into the ground and also trying to grip the ground with your toes. This enables you to get more support on your feet and keep you from losing balance during the movement. The last two cues that I see, or the last two mistakes that I see people make during the box squat are rounding and or hyperextending the low back during the movement, as well as rocking on and off the box, which incorporates those two movements. Quite often, again, this is an issue with lack of strength, too much weight, and or poor body awareness. You'll see people go when they go to squat, they'll squat down and then they'll rock back, quite often overextending their low back and then rounding it as they go to sit up. Quite often you need to cue them as to what the appropriate position is, and also cue them that it's okay to be leaned over during the movement as long as you're leaning through the hips and not relying too much on the back. If people are rounding the back at the bottom of the movement, sometimes they need to work more on hip or ankle flexibility, but quite often the box is just too low for what they can achieve correctly. If you have people that hyperextend as they go down, You just need to cue them to very gently relax their back, tuck their butt in just an inch, and then sit down correctly. So those are the common mistakes that I see on the box squat, as well as the cues I use to correct them. Thanks.